BC. Now, Conklin and Company continues with Take 3, commentary and analysis from our panel of political contributors.
Welcome back, everyone. This past Thursday, the 113th Congress convened, and it is a Congress with really a changing face. More minorities, more women than ever before. And Michigan's Debbie Stabenow is one of 20 women U.S. senators, making up 1/5 of that branch of Congress. And 13 ABC Washington Bureau Chief Jacqueline Policastro had the chance to sit down with Michigan's junior senator, really get an up-close and personal look this past week.
This is a picture of my whole family when my grandson Avery was baptized just a few months ago.
Michigan Senator Debbie Stabenow's office is full of photos and memories from more than 30 years in politics. Stabenow first ran for office when she was a grad student at Michigan State University in 1976.
When you were 24 years old during your first election, your challenger referred to you as that young broad. Talk to me about that.
Right. It was insulting, but it just made me work harder. And I think my whole life, when those kinds of things come up, I just put my head down and work a little harder.
That young broad won her first election. 3 years later, she was featured in this high school textbook, highlighting the increasing role of women in local politics. But the photo captions tell her story in a different way than you might imagine.
She plans her busy schedules so that she has time to spend with her husband and son. Does that strike you as feeling odd now in this day and age to have something written like that in a high school government book?
I do think that hopefully, the questions have changed at least a little bit, and the expectations.
There's evidence the expectations have changed. A record-breaking 20 female senators were elected to serve in the 113th Congress. 16 of the incoming senators are Democrats, 4 are Republicans. There are a record number of women in the House of Representatives this year, too.
There are allegedly lines in the ladies' room now because there are so many women senators.
For the first time, we're having to argue, and we have won on potty parity because they're actually going to expand the women's restroom.
The women senators are forming bonds, like the one Stabenow has with her 86-year-old mother.
She watches C-SPAN every day we're in session, and she says she's the only mom that can turn on TV and see where her daughter is.
Stabenow was the first woman to preside over the Michigan House and the first woman U.S. senator ever elected from Michigan.
You're not just another woman senator. At one point, you were the third highest ranking Democrat in the Senate.
I'm very proud that I've been able to make steps forward and open doors. But I've always said that if you're the one and only, that's not enough, because, you know, that's a token. What really matters is if you reach out your arm and reach down and help somebody else. And if you can open a door and it stays open for other women, then you know you have really made a difference.
And we first aired that piece on Thursday night with Jacqueline Policastro. Really an interesting look at Michigan's junior senator who's faced some personal challenges in her life. And Skylar Meadows joins us on Take 3. Good to see you again, Skylar.
Greetings. Happy New Year.
To you and yours. Thanks very much for coming in. And we talked about the changing face of Congress, and as we were doing that, you had your iPhone or whatever phone you have there looking up exactly how many new faces there are in Congress. And it was interesting because you pointed out the election of Speaker Boehner.
Yes.
And how that related to who voted for who. And maybe you can speak to that a little bit.
I was just surprised with all of the fallout at the end of the session that we would be sitting here talking about Cantor or Boehner. I mean, it's going to be just a no-brainer. It had to be Boehner, because who else would be able to do it?
It wasn't a no-brainer, it was Boehner, right?
Yeah, it wasn't no Boehner, it was Boehner. No-brainer, it should have been Boehner, but I was surprised that Cantor only got 3. So, you know, the vote shook out for the most part to Boehner. So that says that the American public and those elected to vote for them on their behalf think the same as they did before the election.
But his message was, if you're here to make a name for yourself, forget about it. This is about cutting spending and not raising that debt ceiling. That's the next battle in Congress coming up.
Right, and it's the battle that's already going on because the House voted on Friday about the, Hurricane Sandy or Superstorm Sandy relief efforts, and you have to wonder why they didn't do a full package, just pick up what Senate already, passed and just pass it. No, they had to piecemeal it. So we started with $9.7 billion, and then they're going to vote again, and then they're going to vote on the third.
Congress is really good at piecemealing things.
Yeah, absolutely.
This new Congress is just starting to piecemeal as well.
Right.
let's bring it back locally if
Sure.
we can. We're going to see a new city council person
Yes.
in place very, very shortly.
Yes.
To replace Mr. Copeland, moves over to the recorder's office. The Democratic Party wants Sean Enright. We'll see how the vote shakes down. What do you think?
Right. Well, there are still people, as I mentioned before, that are loyal to former Mayor Jack Ford, who wants the seat and has also officially announced he is running for the at-large seat, whether he gets it right, no matter what. So that maybe complicates things. And then there's the person that Councilmember Winooski is going to put up. Although they won't win, this is another message being sent that we need to try to, you know, pick people more appropriately. I don't know how that will go because it's politics. So,
well, speaking of that, coming up a little bit later on this afternoon, roundtable, former Mayor Carty Finkbeiner asked if he's thinking maybe a fourth term. Let's see what he had to say about that.
I have interest in city politics and state politics and federal politics. I've transferred a little bit of that local and state to my interest in the federal government scene during the course of involvement with Obama. My involvement here in 2013, though, will be to help Jack get a seat on city council.
Okay, so there you go. Say, nah, I don't think I'm going to run, but Jack Ford, no matter what happens, as you said.
Well, one thing about Carty is once he puts his loyalty out there, he remains loyal. And one thing that people may not know is that even though he's not been mayor in a while, he's been behind the scenes being a very vigorous fundraiser.
For the president.
Right, and for others, other candidates. He's done statewide. And then he did jump over to the no labels situation for a while, saying we need good constituents regardless of the party. So you can just never tell. But one thing about it is, if he said that he was being loyal to, you know, former Mayor Ford running, he'll support him.
All right, good to see you again.
It's great to see you too.
It was too short. We'll keep you around a little bit longer next time.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Skylar Meadows.
Thanks, Lee.
Make it a good Sunday, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Have a great day.
Conklin.